Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I like to discuss a part of the country that supported both Brexit and traditionally the Conservatives and has been stuffed by both, in this case Cornwall. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So Cornwall, part of the UK that was heavily dependent upon EU funding. And yet a majority there voted Brexit. Not a huge margin, let's not go mad, but greater than the national average. It was 56.5% in favour of leaving the EU, which sounds rather odd on one level, because it's one thing for people who don't understand the benefits of being in the EU to believe that we can do without it. And indeed, that's what happened across the country. But how would people who must have been very aware of the level of structural help they get from the EU to be of this view? But that's the thing, really. Although Cornwall was a huge beneficiary of EU membership, a lot of people in Cornwall didn't see that. An academic paper produced by the University of Exeter, published in 2019, noted that a lot of people saw EU funding as being allocated by elites for elites. Now, I know what some people's next question is going to be: if the people of Cornwall, and I accept that we're not actually talking about all of the people or even the majority, but the majority who voted on that particular day in 2016. But if those people are against elites awarding funding to other elites, why would they vote Conservative? Because Cornwall did not really just flip to the Tories because of Brexit. It's because I suppose politics is all about perception. The right-wing media somehow convinced a lot of people that the EU, who have driven huge improvements in workers' rights and consumer protections, are somehow all elites. They also convinced people that the Party of Workers are also elites, but somehow the Etonians and their billionaire buddies are all fully paid up members of the Cloth Cap Brigade and ordinary chaps on the street. But as silly as it sounds, it is what it is. Enough people in Cornwall were convinced that although there might have been a lot of EU money coming in, it didn't benefit their communities. Now, whatever the real benefits of that EU funding, it's certainly not been replicated after Brexit. The BBC reported a Cornwall councillor saying that they were worried that they were only going to get about 5% of what they would have had if we were still in the EU. We know that the government don't replace EU funding, of course. We've already seen that they've refused to match EU farming subsidies, so no surprise they'll also refuse to match development funds, structural funds. Yes, Boris Johnson promised that his government would replace the funding, but we knew it was lies, really. And I'm no expert in exactly how that EU funding was distributed in Cornwall and whether it was spent in the best interests of the communities there. What I do know is that the Conservatives are absolutely about using as much government funding as possible to reward companies and individuals who donate to the party's campaigns. They need to spend a little on delivering some basic level of service, of course, so that the country doesn't actually disintegrate on their watch. But as much as possible needs to go to those who have paid for their election win and who will do so again in return for an extended stay on the gravy train. But of course, it's not just that Cornwall will be losing the EU funding, which is enough of a shot in the foot. They were also screwed over by the Conservatives in general, pandemic-wise. See, this is what happens when you vote for people insane enough to actually enact a hard Brexit. Nobody with both brains and regard for their country would ever do such a thing. So to get people who would, you need those who lack either intelligence or any regard for their country. Preferably both. Well, it should come as no surprise that this attitude won't just deliver Brexit, but will foul everything else up as well. Cornwall was chosen to host this year's G7 meeting. A great boost to the area, you might have ordinarily thought. But in this year, with this government, with their policies, it was just a poison chalice. It coincided with Boris Johnson's refusal to guard our borders against the Delta variant. Shortly after the G7, there was a massive spike in cases in Cornwall. Just before, in fact, as they were getting ready for it. Huge, in fact, to the point where the average rate of infection in Cornwall went above that of England in general. Now, in isolation, you may go, well, Phil, some parts of the country have to be above average by definition. Yes, of course, but Cornwall's was very low. it's been below the English average throughout the entire pandemic. Right up until that G7 super spreader event. I think when we had the regional tier system, it was like the last place to go into the highest tier. You know, as people descended on the county in preparation for the event, cases increased by 1,000%. The greatest spike in cases, unsurprisingly, coincided with a specific area which hosted the event, St Ives. And all because the government began with a view that we should just let the virus run riot through the population, and they only took the edge off that policy because they thought that a death count above a certain level might lose them votes. Not that they seem to be put off by this thought anymore, whether it's because they think they'll keep that death count below the 250,000 or just that they've suddenly realised it doesn't seem to be costing them votes at all. Don't know. Sod it, they seem to have said, I'm bored with the pandemic. That's what Johnson seems to be saying. I want to change the channel now. And Cornwall won't just be an aberration in this regard. Brexit hurts every region. The Conservatives hurt every region, but some are harmed more than others. Now, researchers had already pointed out that they believe that the areas that supported Brexit will be the ones most hit by it. We've already seen some of this. Like, who were most in favour of Brexit in Northern Ireland? Mostly people in the unionist community, not exclusively, but mostly, especially those who took their cue from the DUP. Who is suffering from it most there now? And it doesn't matter how many pallets you stack up and set fire to, you don't burn Brexit away. Cornwall is now facing up to the reality of Brexit as well. Kent already had accepted their complimentary free gift that came with every Brexit subscription. In their case, a load of lorry parks and roads filled with truckers' piss and shit. I hear the situation is so bad for parking there now, you get the occasional fight breaking out. So they get free entertainment with their Brexit membership as well. I expect in a couple of years to be able to go through every region in the UK that supported Brexit and be able to draw a very real link between actions and consequences. Because we've had years of warnings, years of what was dismissed as speculation, but now we're in the era of consequences, real consequences. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.